Greetings, and you all some warm, positive vibrations. Hopefully, you are enjoying your holidays, whatever holidays you are celebrating. So, I just got back in from a book drive, which was it was really, really beautiful down south, and we distributed so many books to so many children. And today, I wanted to check in just to just have a chat around your goals and scrapping your goals, right? Are you the type of person, or have you been the person that sets goals for the new year, and then by the time the next year comes, they're scrapped? Or perhaps you endeavored to start that goal, but you didn't complete it, or you fizzled out halfway through the goal. So, how are your goals going? How have they gone for this year, at least by the Greco-Roman calendar, the calendar year? Have you been able to be consistent? Have you been able to embrace the snafus or the slip ups? Or when you see the ingrained patterns that are there, have you beat yourself up? Have you been able to recover from beating yourself up over abandoning your goals? Do you examine? Do you take the time for self reflection, self inquiry in quiet and journal, and then do something with the reflections, right? Whatever you get out of your subconscious mind and onto paper, have you been able to get into action around what you say is important to you? So I think this can go a long way in supporting us in radical self-acceptance. At least that's what I like to call it. So I didn't wet my hair purposefully. It got wet in the shower. So we're going to moisturize our hair. And I am super simple over here. Earlier today, I put some of my aloe juice that I made from pulling the aloe right out of the yard, because there's plenty of aloe in the yard that I started from one little piece, and now there are hundreds and hundreds of aloe. So that's one less thing that I need to purchase. So right now I'm just going to spritz a little bit more water, right, from my filter. And as far as styling over here, I have my own take on styling. I prioritize ease and comfort. If you're if you're new to this channel, welcome. I'm Body-Culinary, professional chef, personal trainer, natural born woman. Shout out to you, whatever your expression is. I am a mother, and I'm a lover of a natural lifestyle, or as close as I can get to it in these times that we are living in. On this channel, I share some of my journey of radical self-acceptance, really celebrating and appreciating the divinely assigned features that I popped out onto this 3D plane with. And as you can see, you may not be able to tell, I have very fine, actually, Afro texture hair. It's very cottony. It's very, very delicate. And I've been on a journey of exploration to see what my hair will do, what it will behave like if I don't put a comb in it. Now, my hair has been a return to natural. I had my period with my begging for a perm, and be careful what you ask for. But I've been in a return to natural for decades. And so I never really wanted locks. Never really wanted locks. They locked in my travels, and I decided I've done everything else. Why not? Let's just see where this goes, because I do prioritize ease, as much ease as I can incorporate into my life. That is actually a priority for me, given especially that we are in a climate of what I call triggeration, where we're constantly being triggered subconsciously. It bypasses the conscious mind, goes right into the subconscious, and we're triggered in ways that affect us more than I think we actually realize. And it shows up in a lot of our self-medicating, self-sabotage, and mindless behavior. So this isn't to make ourselves bad or wrong, or to shame ourselves or shame each other for whatever your consumption patterns are, however you're wearing your hair. I don't think that that's the most important thing. At least that's not my role here. I'm just one woman sharing my journey. So if you find something that's valuable here, you can take it and run with it and put it through your own think tank and see what works on and take it from there. So if you're interested in anything having to do with what I call leverage lifestyle practices, and they are lifestyle practices or habits that we all have access to, whatever your budget or your spending plan, whatever economic demographic you are currently in, and wherever you pay rent or mortgage, there are 3 leverage lifestyle practices. And I love to make that distinction because they give you back so much more for the investment of your time and attention. Sometimes we may not realize how much time we're losing on the internet. And hopefully, when you leave the internet or any of your interactions, you feel inspired to get into action around the things that you say that you value. Hopefully, health, mental and emotional, as well as physical, are and financial are high up on your list of priorities. So this hair, being it's not going anywhere, and whatever economic situation and we're in, we're always going to get our hair done. So this ease and relaxation, it translates into my hair. I wouldn't call myself lazy, though I have only so many hours in a day, like you, and I am intentional about where I want to spend my time, and I don't desire to spend hours doing my hair. I've done it. It's just not that time. That was fun. I've had those experiences. So ease and relaxation. Also, I have intentionally retrained my eyes to feel comfortable with what I see. And I also like to be creative with what it is that I have. So I'm not slicking anything down. I'm not twisting. My hair appears full because I embrace the Afro, yet all of them are flat. And now I can see when I was doing the or still am on this hair challenge, right? I remember when I let these combine, and now I can see a bit of length. I remember when it was just like right here. So now I can see that they have combined. And as a little checkup, I have 2 locks over here that I loosely have a very loose cloth hair holder here. And I believe this might be week 6. So this is just to test to see how long does it take for the hair to lock. So we can do a little check-in on that. So I would love to hear how your journey is going. And I appreciate folks give some really lovely shares here. So this is pretty loose. Ooh, I do not like for things to get caught in my hair because everything gets caught in my hair and I don't like that feeling. So these won't rip your hair out as much. I need to be very conscientious of anything that I put in my hair in the past, as I've mentioned on this channel before, when I've used the little small black rubber bands and I'm in the garden, the sun gets so hot, they've melted into my hair. And that is not a good feeling, right? So this has been 6 weeks. So this is pretty much joined. I think I can still pull this apart, but I haven't done anything to it. So I just loosely put the hair holder. So you could start with double strand twist, or, a lot depends on your hair, and over time you can figure out, I'm not doing it. I didn't do any parting. How big you want your locks to be. Now, these are, I've been getting a haircut. This is where I started. All these individual ones, when I'm saying fine, that's fine. This was a big fluffy double strand twist. And now I can see how it looks when it's matured. So over time, although I was nervous about it, I've let them combine into 2. And now I'm letting them combine again. Why? That's so that there's a nice firm base of support. Now, I don't have any oil in my hair. I've had oil. Back in the day when I was doing double strand twists, at one point I used to use gel, and then I got rid of that. Then I'm big on using, I love just to use fresh plants in food. I use food on my hair and my skin. So I'm not interested in oil. I don't want to do oil. I don't want to. I'm a person that's had a lot of acne, and even aside from the acne and all the scar healing, I just like the feeling of lightness in my hair. My scalp has never felt better. I don't experience any itching and any dandruff. That's with zero oil. So this works for me. So I have made a conscientious decision to embrace the fluff and the puff. My hair will grow away from the lock, and I really like to find what's comfortable for me. So we will all have to find what I call the sweet spot of what you're willing to do and what you're not willing to do. So my psyche and things being projected at me, that's a priority. Me feeling comfortable in my own skin the way I woke up, that is a priority for me. Even though I'm not a big makeup wearer, I'm not anti-makeup. I do think there are less toxic versions of nail polish and so on. I will say over the years, I don't really like the feeling of feeling constricted on my lips. I don't really like greasy lips. So just like your palate can change with food, a lot of things can change, like your tactile feel. Like I really enjoy the feeling of my skin breathing. And I used to have to wear a lot of makeup for some of the different types of work that I have done. So I really appreciate having being able to wear my own skin, especially when I had like so many thick, like cystic acne. Ugh, gosh, that was the worst. That was the worst. Greetings, Candace. I know that's right. I love the fluff of my Afro locks. Yes, had a friend to retwist and immediately regretted it. There were a couple of times that I went back and retwisted it again. If I twist my hair, and again, I'm seeing, I said I would let the part grow out, but the part is still there and I'm not doing anything to preserve it. So I said, like, I'm going along for the journey to see what my hair will do. And you might make one decision. You know, it's an organic journey, and some of it may change along the way. So sometimes you may say, "Oh, I don't want to do any oil," and then you go back and you try oil. I don't think that any of it is wrong. It's your sweet spot. It's your journey. Whatever you're eating, working out, not working out, eating meat, not eating meat, do you? Again, we have the opportunity to peek into, to allow ourselves to look into other people's kitchens, and you can peek into my kitchen and I can just share some things. They might be helpful along the way. They might save you, somebody's tips might save you some time. So there were so many things that I've seen on the internet. Again, some common things, all whole videos on hair that grows away from the lock, and you're panicking about that. Or when you twist your hair, if you have fine hair, if anyone can relate, you see your whole scalp. Or one of the biggest things, if you have kinky, cottony hair, is dryness. Almost every video talks about dryness, and it's maybe only a few, maybe two YouTubers who I really appreciate, who have tested the waters to see what would happen with the no oil. And as you transition from not using oil, should you endeavor to try that, you may try it and go back. None of it's wrong. Uh, you got to be not you got to be, you can be kind of courageous to see what will happen. Many people don't stick with something, I think, long enough to go through the transition as your hair normalizes. So for example, my hair, it feels soft. It does not feel brittle or dry at all. It's dry in the sense of it's not wet. And I got a little bit of water, and that's all pretty much evaporated, right? My hair just got a little teeny bit wet from the shower, but it is so soft and pliable and lightweight. So that is very different from oils. The oils felt very good. Like, I like massage and self-massage. I was just massaging myself a little while ago. So when I used to smooth the oil on, it's soothing. It feels good going on. But I did notice that, especially someone that's in the garden a lot, that it's very easy for the dust and dirt in the air, the garden, or just in the air to become like a magnet. So eventually, it gets lodged inside the hair. So I've cut my hair numerous times now, and I see no buildup inside, like none. Very, very, very little lint. It's all manageable. It's warmer where I am now. So every now and then, maybe from the towel a little teeny bit, I make an effort to use like a dark brown towel, or yeah, pretty much something dark, but pretty much nothing is getting attracted to the hair because there's no oil, there's no grease, there's no shea butter. And it feels so freeing. My scalp feels fantastic. I feel like my scalp can breathe. And I was raised on Dixie Peach, Dax hair grease, Sulfur 8, all kinds of homemade concoctions from my grandmother and my great grandmother on my maternal southern side. And then on my Caribbean side, my grandma Lou, who I talk about all the time, she raised us with coconut oil, right? And on both sides, Afro women, whatever they're cooking with, if you're walking by, you're going to get a little shine up. They're going to put it on your hair, and they're going to put it on your skin so that we look healthy and shiny. So I rely on moisture primarily from the inside, right? From the living foods. I love living foods. I've been on a living foods lifestyle for many, many years, and I love it. I'm really grateful for it. And it's something I've chosen for numerous reasons. For the acne, I have a family pattern, consumption pattern, and a health pattern of morbid obesity, diabetes, heart disease, cancer, and mastectomies a lot of it from stress, a lifestyle of stress. And that's a big focus of mine in the coaching that I do as a trainer, as a coach and nutrition consultant for many years. And so I found whole, fresh living and unprocessed foods is huge, magnanimous, huge in your toolbox. It's not the final destination, but I feel comfortable knowing I can't eat any better than the things that I'm choosing. And I found ways to prepare them that is easy, sustainable. So I love it. So I'm really big on taking things off the table and having a lifestyle that I can tweak and refine, that can carry me until my hair is white. So the truth is, the journey is not straight, controlled, paved out. That's right. So you may feel like you're taking 2 steps forward or two steps backward, and then you'll take 4 steps forward. Like there is a video on this channel. I call it Twinkie syndrome. I don't remember. I think that's the video. No, it's called I Damaged My Locks. And so I was only using olive oil. Go back and forth with olive oil, sometimes a little coconut oil. And I had washed it because I love the feeling of water. It's very soothing to me, running through my scalp as I'm listening to the birds and stuff. And I'm very big on therapeutic things in my lifestyle. I like to pay attention to things that make me feel calm and ease. And so, anywho, I was washing my hair. It's not often I've done the cider vinegar, but I was washing it, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, I felt like a film on my hair. And the best way I can describe it is that it felt like a Twinkie, like that greasy feeling, and I was a junk food junkie. I'm not even gonna be ashamed. And so it felt like a Twinkie, like a Twinkie, a waxy substance. And that was not a good feeling. And so I tried to wash it out over and over and over. Didn't come out. And all of that gave my hair a beating. So I've noticed my hair does not like to be handled. It doesn't like overwashing. It does not like cheap shampoos or stripping shampoos. So these are things you can look at other folks' channel, though I don't think there's any way around some level of self-experimentation, sitting with yourself quietly and feeling your hair. You know, after it's washed, sometimes I'm like, this feels so good. Oh my gosh. Like, oh, they're like the little teeny kinky curls at the root. I can feel the density of my hair. It's still delicate, but though letting them join together, I guess this would be like my version of a Congo Nati. What is it? Six locks. But look, so my hair is not, it's not dense at all. Though I realized over time that if I could have like a Sister Locks version of this, I would. But it's so delicate. I felt intuitively I need to let them join so they can have a firm base of support. So now they're maybe like 30, 31. I don't know if I ever had 50, but it's not a lot. So I feel around. So this one, I don't know if I'll leave that thingy off. Maybe I don't know if I'll leave it on. This is week 6, but I could still really just rip this apart. Or maybe I'll just leave it on as the experiment. So this is very light, so it's not putting any kind of indentation in my hair. So I can definitely think of other ways that I would style it now if I was just starting out. I could think of there are other ways I would do it. But I think this is a wonderful option for those of us with fine hair, wanting ease, wanting style. I've come up with several ways to style my hair, and I tell you, every style that I've tried does not look the same. First of all, I don't have, these are my Congo Natis, right? Not really Congo, like baby mini Congos. So if you have more locks, you don't have as many, it looks different. For example, I'm not slicking anything down, so you won't have as many locks to play around with. So I'll see all of this hair here. It's not like it's a whole bunch of locks. So, and initially also, if you don't have a whole lot of length, I think actually now that it's shorter, I think the shorter hair is easier to style because you can have some beautiful curls with that. So now I don't really have to use curlers to get a wave. Somebody called them beach waves. I didn't know that was a thing, but I guess it's not like a tight curl. But I found ways to do these different things with virtually nothing. So I put aloe in my hair earlier, and the aloe juice, not the gel, the aloe juice. I can make the gel also. And this is just filtered water. So sometimes I'll just spritz my hair with water. I usually prefer the aloe juice, but anyway, sometimes I'll still use water. I know some people say don't use water. I like the aloe juice, but sometimes if I'm moving really quick, I just keep this is a recycled bottle. I recycle everything. So I'll just recycle with some water. And one of the joys of this hair, I call this Freedom Locks or Freedom Hair Afro Locks. That's what I'm calling it. And that's literally what it is. It's freedom. I feel like I'm not doing all of that stuff. I don't feel like a prisoner to my hair. So I love to move and to work out. By the way, join me at 5 a.m. Fridays is a community class. So that is by donation. Fill out the form in the about section. Yeah, if you fill out the form in the about section so we can identify you before you are let into the room, because safety is a priority. So Friday, it's 5 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and it's a nice Tootsie Roll. Cardio, dynamic flexibility, and strength. So bring your heart rate monitor, because we're very results oriented over there, right? And I prioritize confidence, health and confidence over somebody's made up moving goalpost of beauty. So the water usually sits on the top of my hair. I smooth it out because it just doesn't like a lot of handling. There have been times where I've used a very soft, like almost like a baby bristle, just to lightly brush it. But even then, I don't know, sometimes I really like to like kind of leave my hair alone, because it just constantly is like, leave me. I'm doing good. Just don't bother me. Hair's like, you do your thing, I'll do mine. So that's it. That's all I'm doing. See how complicated that is, or how simple that is. And lots of times I'll take like a simple scarf, a silky scarf, and I'll tie that over it when I find little hair bobbles. Now, this looks like, I think some people try to mimic hair. This is like very loose. I didn't get this to mimic hair, but I realized that this color is close to my natural color. And I would use this as a ponytail holder because it's not pulling on my hair. I cannot take pain. So I would just smooth some water. And I've mentioned this before. I don't know. Some of you may not know this old commercial. I think it's for Clairol, Miss Clairol. You would see our vanilla counterparts, on this commercial scene, like in the big city. And she had bouncing and behaving curls, kind of like when we curl our hair on the what do you call it, flexi rods or the pipe cleaners, and you get those curls. Well, the vanilla women, right? Their hair curly and bouncy, and I was like, why can't I was like, why can't we have bouncing and behaving hair? I want bouncing and behaving hair too. Though this does not do that. I am so glad that I found that we have our own versions of it. But this, it can't look like that. Maybe there are some silhouettes, in terms of like shapes, but it just can't be that. And that's perfectly fine. So to try to force my hair to do a lot of those things would leave me without a hairline. And I'm glad my eyebrows are still here. I don't know, I feel like my aesthetic over the years, I just appreciate, I'm calling it softer, but I think a natural look, and I do get on camera, you appear different, but I just feel better. I don't want to feel like I have a harsh frown or a harsh tattoo on my face. So I can appreciate makeup, and I love it when I see when it's done really artistically. I don't prefer the peacock looks, though sometimes the combinations look great artistically. But in terms of the everyday, a lot of times I'm in the garden, I just don't find it functional. I don't find it functional. And just the feeling of when I take that stuff off to feel like, who am I looking at? I don't know. Something to me is disturbing. But I do get the other part of that, of dress up and being regal and all of that. So I'm not here to make any of that wrong. But for my everyday, so what I was going to say is I find to try to do all that slicking. And there was a time I thought maybe I could rock. I see some Rasta sisters really rock styling gel just at the very front and then pull it into a bun, a slick bun, and it looks great. But I just don't have a desire to lock all that gel into my hair. I can't. Just when I think about it, it just makes me think of irritation, that I should have to work so hard to do anything. So I find if I just pull my hair into, like, what do you call it? Some people say it's not a bun, but messy buns, without trying so hard. I like my hair just like this. So I'm not fighting hard to do anything. That feels like, I don't know. Can anybody relate? It feels like peace. It feels like peace to know I don't have to do a lot. So I'm not fighting to slick it. Every now and then I notice that the aloe juice that I make can make it will make it a little curlier. So I can tell that the aloe juice, the pH, is different than even the filtered water. So I'll go back between the two of those. But I find messy buns or messy ponytail. Now that I have a ponytail, this feels comfortable. It's not a whole bunch of pulling, and I just feel ease. So I have several go-to styles that I would use or that I will be creative with, and this is one of them. I like it. Also, when I'm doing yoga or stretching, let's say in the early morning, when I'm laying on my back to do core exercises. If I have a ponytail right here in the center, that's irritating, or I don't like waist beads digging into my skin, although I love my waist beads. So when I tie my waist beads, I tie them so that I take into consideration I'll be lying on the floor to do floor exercises. And I found simply, if I just put my hair to one side without trying to snatch all of this stuff up. I'm not snatching up all that cotton. The cotton can stay right there. So I'll just put it to the side. This is ease. This is such ease. I need ease. I don't know about you. Does anybody else prioritize ease? So again, I will just place the hair over to the side, right? And then what is this style that they call it? I think they call it tendrils, right? When you see the loose tendrils, my hair doesn't behave like that. So instead of the loose tendrils, right, I'll just leave maybe four. Maybe I'll leave 4 locks there, and I'll put it up in a ponytail this way. And these would be, they're not tendrils, right? Those loose curls like our Caucasian fellow female feminine counterparts. They're not tendrils, but this is what I got. So I'm saying the silhouette is not, it's not the same. But I think there's really something to be said for, I don't know, I like ease even when it comes to style. I like ease. Even when I study fashion and style, something I think that is so interesting, especially if I look at the Afro culture and somebody raised African American and Caribbean. A lot of the brands that were popular, like Louis Vuitton and Gucci, is some controversy, one of the popular brands now. When I've studied French styling and fashion, French women actually, they are very pointed about looking overdone and overly sexy. I was like, wow. Now, I didn't really know that was it. That is actually a thing. Many French women don't have a lot of closet space. I was very surprised to learn this. They don't have a lot of closet space, and they are painstaking about taking months or a year before they make a purchase. And when they make a purchase with their clothing, they purchase clothing so that it will go with everything inside of their wardrobe, that it fits their body. They also do a lot of consignment and vintage shopping. So I was thinking, like, now, isn't that interesting that in African American culture, we have the thing, let's say, for example, all these bags. A lot of French women do not own all of those labels, right? But we think we're mimicking something, and it's a different cultural nuance. They don't have the closet space. Many of them can't afford it. Although they may get more vacation time culturally, that is more valued. Having more time to eat, right? Having more time to slow down and enjoy their food and enjoy their family. That's different culturally than in the States. So I think as an Afro woman, as an African, someone raised African American and Caribbean, if you look at us as teenagers when we first start to work and to earn our own money, and as we're mimicking what we see, what we think we see of celebrities who often get free clothes and have makeup artists and trainers and such, we're mimicking something, but it's a false message, because French women, a lot of them do not own the designer stuff. They are open to secondhand or consignment or gently used items that they will hold on to for years. And so, like a capsule wardrobe, which you can find a lot of channels talking about capsule wardrobes. They're very big on little dainty jewelry. You know, one of the sayings of Coco Chanel is before you leave the house, take one thing off. So I think it's when we think of class and style, I don't know if that's something that we think of anymore. And that's relative. Though when you think of chic or Coco Chanel or what we think we're mimicking, there is a false representation and a false message. And I do think this is just one woman's opinion, not necessarily the truth. I feel passionate about this because if you look at the overwhelming demographic of Afro women in the Americas, and as I have traveled to different countries, I think as young girls, we feel we are very, how can I say it? We feel very like we're missing out, or we can't wait to buy designer brand. We finally get our first job, right? And we may not be there economically. And so we spend a lot of our money from I got my first job, I think at 14. I couldn't wait to be old enough to get my first job. And we blow a lot of our money on clothes. And so we a lot of times are not thinking of the long term of securing ourselves into our future with our economics. Many of us may not have adults with that mindset that surround us. So if I have to look back, I spent so much money on clothes that could have been a home and land. So I don't make myself bad or wrong. Yet there's something I do like to speak to. Now, I don't think there's anything wrong with fashion, but I think you can, for the younger flowers out there, you can really shorten your learning curve by learning how to, and I've heard French women say this, they're more into style than fashion and trends. I love distinctions. So rather than following the current trend, which changes all the time, they're into classic silhouettes and the fit of clothes, which is really, really something. And I'm going to be discussing this more on a future project called, we'll get into that more. So keep your eyes open for that. That's a very passionate project of mine. And my basic message is that you don't have to go broke feeling like you got to spend and I've done it as a young woman, spending the last money in your pocket on styling gel, the last money in your pocket on makeup. And a lot of the makeup is a lot more expensive to replace a foundation or even a mascara. This stuff is not cheap. So if I had to run the numbers, and as someone, let me just connect this to the book drive that I just did. Let me tell you, every time I do these book drives when I travel, I'm like, oh my gosh, we are so fortunate. We are so fortunate just to have access to basic resources. It's 2022. We're going on the calendar, Roman calendar, 2023. Some folks don't have access to books and literacy. And we've got clothes that we can just dump in the garbage. Why I tell you, folks are so happy to get notebooks. Like this little girl was like, they got some cookies. Somebody donated cookies. Somebody did juice bags. Because a lot of times here, the juices are not always in a bottle. Sometimes they're in a plastic bag. They had sorrel and different juices, and we had so many books. I mean, I love books. Like books, one of my best friends growing up, if not my best friend. And for them to get books and school supplies, this little girl was like, this is the best day ever. You should see the smiles on these children's face. And I was like, that was so fulfilling. So I like clothes and fashion. Don't get it twisted. But more so than trinkets, I really love experiences and memories. So there are so many things. And I just think like if I have 1 million daughters and sons, or if I have 1 million daughters, I would say going back, just to be able to make really good decisions with the money you come across and other types. I say this to my son all the time. There are other types of currency. I wish I had somebody to tell me this. There are ways you can create rich experiences for yourself in terms of travel, in terms of looking fantastic with fashion without spending a lot of money. I mean, really looking fantastic with fashion, and ways to style your hair in ways that are complementary. I usually see girls, let's say when I do see girls, and when I've gone to other countries, when I've gone to Greece, or to Spain, not often I will see a lot of Afro women, but quite often, usually I see a little bit more now, but most of the time, our hair will look like we're on a struggle bus trying to fit in, trying to force the hair to do something that it doesn't do in order to fit into what's popular. And I don't want to make that bad or wrong. But if girls and women had more support to know that this is such a unique DNA marker, no one has this, and to be able to embrace styles like this, even if you want the length, you can have the length. This here is fantastic. And it doesn't, I don't think it takes anything away from others to celebrate yourself. And a lot of times I just feel like when I look at little girls, I say all the time, we deserve to feel comfortable in our own hair, and skin. And it may sound away, but I feel a sense of pride. There's nothing wrong with a healthy sense of vanity. I feel pride to be able to wear my own eyebrows, my own eyelashes, my own lips, my own little nose. I remember when I was little, I wanted to go like this. I want to look like Michael Jackson. So I went in the back, just mimicking. We mimic. Even as adults, we mimic and we copy. And so this constant longing for something, I want to be like this and I want to be like that. But it is a paradigm shift. And I've shared on this channel before, I will never forget when I first cut the perm out of my hair as a young woman and I looked in the mirror, I was like, wow, that's me. I will never forget that moment. You can pay me to go back. And so it's not that I can't see other styles that don't look attractive and well put together, but I'm like, there's a feeling like this is me. And so even as I go through different phases of life and maturity, I am intentional about observing the internal dialogue that goes on. I listen to my internal dialogue and dial into the emotions and the feelings. If there's anxiety or sadness that comes up when I look at my reflection and what I have, right? And that is a mindset that carries over into comparing yourself. I think social media is perpetuating or is stimulating mental illness and mental emotional instability and dissatisfaction with what we have. And that can limit us in terms of seeing possibilities for ourselves. So I feel really good. I have a smile on my face with my kinky hair. It's nappy. It's thinner over here. It's fine. But there's something about feeling good. Like, yo, I look the bomb. Like, I feel like there's nothing that looks as good on me as my own hair. And that may seem overly simple, but it gives me chills. It gives me chills when I think of the freedom. So not only do I call these Afro locks, anybody can get locks. You can do whatever you want with your hair, child. Work it out. But this is something unique, and it's a unique experience having this type of hair. I have an interesting color, a texture of hair, water, moisture sits on top of it. I would have to do all kinds of products. If I was still doing that stuff, my hair wouldn't take to the perm. So I got chemical burns. That's what's traumatic. I wish I had known. I never needed to do that. So we're mimicking, and women are passing down what they know to be true or what their experience has been. So I don't make folks bad or wrong. But if young women and more young women do know, I don't know if it's the majority yet, but I wish more little girls and young girls could just let their hair flow down to the floor. And we know our hair grows this way, and a lot of times up. Then eventually it will fall. But so we can have that experience with our beads or no beads, and just like really have like that gumption, because it's mine. It's mine. I don't have to do anything. And I will say, I think it does carry. And again, we're on a different journey. I'm not here to tell anybody what to do, though I think this carries over to our natural features. Natural bodies matter. I've sustained life. That is amazing with my own breasts and the food that I've been eating. So I think it's important that we embrace our breasts. Small breasts are stylish. You can run faster without them flapping all over the place. Larger breasts are attractive. Medium breasts are attractive. Why is it that we are not thinking of prioritizing the health of our breasts? Why? And my observation, I'm very clear on why. Because it is, and I'm not with the conspiracy theory stuff, but to me, it's really basic. programming of human beings is it's easy. It's not hard. We mimic. Our emotions are constantly triggered. Fears are constantly triggered. Many of us may not have mature parents, or coaching. And it's still not the majority of us where we see ourselves modeled, where we see an image of ourselves, where we're like, when we see other women enjoying natural self, enjoying themselves. So when I'm playing capoeira or African dance, I am not thinking about no, yeah. I'm not. I'm having a great time. And it's like, I can sweat my hair out. I don't have to think about it. I don't have to inflict unnecessary pain on myself. I don't have to contribute to fibroids. One of my mentors, one of her biggest missions for many years was been helping women to save their wombs from fibroids. And so the other day I was doing some research. I'm an ever avid researcher. I'm like, still to this day, I'm like, wow, there's so many. Now with YouTube, you can see more women talking about it. There are women saying, I've got 56 fibroids. One of my homies, 6 fibroids. Like, is this not telling us something about our consumption patterns? About our ineffectiveness at managing stress? Is this not telling us at a basic level that a lot of what we're doing, of our patterns, our lifestyle patterns, are contributing to what is manifesting in the body without making ourselves bad or wrong? Do you offer mentoring to younger women? Yes, I do. I have something called Flower Fit. In Flower Fit community, there's an application inside of the About section. So if they can fill out an application so I can identify them. Yeah, there's a community. And Flower Fit is focused on lifestyle practices. So we are humans, right? And with a lot of the programming, a lot of our insecurities, we hear a lot of this cattiness, right? And so I think what can be effective is to come together around activities. So the activities that I like to come together around is anything having to do with starting a garden or perfecting and sharing your garden, which is super inspirational. And some of the flowers in Flower Fit of all different ages share what they do in their garden. Actually, some of my young flowers are extremely talented and have quite a green thumb. So shout out to Dora and Anidra and Naomi, and also Tracy, growing some beautiful things in their garden. So it's really inspirational to see what other women are doing. Also, whether you're Flower Fit in that community, it's the garden, it's the lifestyle practice, it's the garden, a personal movement practice, which I highly encourage whoever comes on this channel, because it is so deeply therapeutic. When I say deeply, it's deeply therapeutic. Not everybody has money for therapy, right? Though, just imagine there are lifestyle practices that you can engage that you're administering therapy to yourself. How many areas of your life do you feel empowered by, where you feel powerful in your body? That's what movement and aka fitness, which I like to call vigorous joyous movement, that's what it has given me. Does your body transform in one movement, in one practice? No, although it will eventually. Though the esteem, I would say a solid foundation of esteem comes from a movement practice. Now, some of my girls, I don't know if they're on this channel right now. If they're on, sometimes I joke and say I'd be like Jesus, and I go into the church and I flip all the tables over, and I was like, I need to put some gardeners up in here and some tracks in here. We don't need no more rector rooms, and pastor need a new jet. It's mostly women up in here. A lot of widows or people that are in very vulnerable situations, either with relationships or widows or going through life crises. And I mean, how much I grew up religious, so this is my own personal experience now. But how much praying we gonna do this season? Pray and move. Pray and clean. That's the prayer. That's the act of prayer. Because otherwise, we're just playing mental mind games with ourselves and don't have the results to match. Just one woman's perspective. If it doesn't resonate, leave it right here. But I'm all for getting into action around what you say you value. If you're not getting into action, then these I'm calling this now the trance boxes. These are trance boxes. Hypnotic. We are easily lulled into trance through melodies, music, tones, colors, pictures, and flavors. Not hard. I can articulate that now because I got some life wisdom and some life experience. So the leverage lifestyle practices, your garden, your movement practice, and then peaceful consumption. Pause on the labels, food and fuel that demonstrates that it loves you back, right? So I make the effort to strive to be intentional with my words, because words and as a form of expression really does affect us, and we're affecting each other. So I strive to be effective because it's more effective, it's more efficient. So I need what's going to give me results. So what gives me results in terms of feeling better is my movement practice. I feel like a gazillion bucks. I feel powerful. I feel strong. And then your form, what you look like, follows your function. So if I could say anything to my flowers out there, 3 leverage lifestyle practices, your garden, and you could give yourself an out. There's no shortage of people high-fiving each other on giving themselves an out. Not over here. We don't have to do that. We can look for more excuses to not change, to stay with what is familiar and what is comfortable. Yet that is so limiting. That's like cheating ourselves. I think it comes from a place of fear and not wanting to try something different, or being fearful of letting go of many of the substances masquerading as foods, or maybe the foods that we're using to pacify ourselves, to make ourselves feel better. It's not for us to shame ourselves or each other, right? So, and wherever you are right now in your personal space, do you consider the other things that you can do to make yourself feel better that don't have anything to do with physical food? It doesn't get a lot of play. Some people might think it's boring, but I tell you, there is such literal relaxation and peace to be had in a little garden that you can start from nothing. It's one of the best manifestation tools. I have a garden outside that started from nothing, and we lost a lot of trees in a recent hurricane. And the other day we were looking outside, like, oh my gosh, a lot of our banana trees are coming back, right? So the garden is not going to scam you like all these politicians, preachers, and poverty pimps. You can learn some really rock solid lessons in life and common sense from the garden. You can learn so much about how you handle and manage stress in your movement practice. You can cultivate a resiliency for dealing with difficult emotions and fear and stress through your movement practice. Your peaceful consumption can free you from being on a whole stroll of dieting and the dopamine addiction to make yourself feel better with food substances. Your consumption patterns can really provide a way for you to nourish your immune system, right? And a lot of diseases are the accumulation of lots of habits over the years. It's not just popping out of anywhere, if we're really honest. These diseases, most of them are not popping out of anywhere. And for those flowers that don't have children yet, do you ever consider your makeup, your body, your genes, your genetic information? If you're constantly eating in a state of stress and eating lots of colors and dyes, which are very dangerous, and constantly putting all kinds of dangerous chemicals, and if you're constantly in fight or flight, and if you never sleep, and if you're constantly watching a lot of fright and fear, then what would make us think? And if you're coming together with someone where perhaps the two of you are not intentional or committed to being parents and sharing all of your resources in this volunteer stewardship position, do you not think that those are the ingredients that are going to make up the cake of that little human being? So the amounts of mental instability, mental and emotional instability, and the amount of us that are on medications, maybe perhaps at this point that's going to be the trajectory for many of our children. So again, I'm not here to tell folks what to do. I'm just sharing, and perhaps people in their quiet moments can marinate on this, because perhaps it can be your incentive to strategize about your consumption patterns and therapeutic lifestyle practices. That makes sense. So shout out to Toby and to Candace, Dancer. Sending awesome, warm, positive vibrations. I'm about to jump off of here. I have another class. So what I was saying very quickly, there's several hairstyles. As I'm moisturizing today, my hair feels nice and normalized. It feels balanced. That's the best way I can describe it. I got my little version of a lion's mane, which to me is absolutely amazing. That's something I always wanted. I think I have an official lion's mane. I do think I'm going to be trimming some more of it. Not so much for it to be even, but yeah, these are areas where it first started out, and a lot of them are combined now. Sometimes I don't even think about cutting. I just let it do whatever it wants to do. But if anything is hanging on by a shoestring, I'll just cut it. So here is the back. I don't often get to see what the back looks like. And it's flat. And a lot of them, I haven't separated them, are kind of sticking together. Some of them naturally separate. Yeah, I can feel this is kind of stuck together. So I'm not even sweating pulling them apart at this point, my little 30 locks. But I feel happy with them. I feel happy. I feel good about my skin. I'm intentional about feeling good about the maturing process and going through the different phases of life. Understanding that the body will have wear and tear on it. It will show signs of wear and tear. There will be grays, and there may be corns. There will be stretch marks. I'm intentional. I invite you to be intentional around holding space for yourself. And we throw the word around love so loosely, and the context of words is constantly switched. I invite you to just consider giving care to yourself, or when you listen into the internal dialogue and you hear that it sounds like if the tone of it or the feel of it is kind of sad or dissatisfied, to observe and ask questions of your internal dialogue. Like, why do you feel that way? Or like, wow, that's interesting that you feel that way. To check in, with yourself. And sometimes just stare into your own face and your own skin. Kind of like the compliments that you would love for a man or another person to give you, to give that to yourself. Look at your skin, if it's got acne marks or it had a different shape, maybe it has some wrinkles. Perhaps consider, what do I have to do to bring my body temple to the highest height of health that it can be, and understand that that is a process, and sometimes it will go up and down. That's an organic process. So thanks for sharing. I would love to know more about your journey and how you came to hold these beliefs, if you're willing to share. I don't know if I would call them beliefs. It's just my experience, just life. My mom and my grandma said, if you live long enough, life will learn. So it's been a journey. I've been on a journey since a very young woman, since I could read books, and since I'm looking at the adults wondering, why do adults do? I'm fascinated by self-sabotage, and I'm equally fascinated by the mindset that people get into of self-actualization, like athletes or brilliant minds, or minds that are innovative and that are creating inventions. There are two different states of being in minds, and I'm fascinated by the difference in both. And I'm always looking for what's the difference and the distinction, and how can I emulate that, and how can I inspire that in the children and in the people that are around me. So I feel like that's just a natural human thing. I don't know. Everybody has their thing, but before I could really articulate it, That is what has always fascinated me. Self-sabotage and self-actualization. Why would somebody want to destroy their body with drugs and alcohol? I'm really fascinated by the human uh, capacity to want to fit in so badly, right? And I think that's part of that's human, but also how that can easily be manipulated. I think we're going to talk about Flower Fit. I may post it in the Flower Fit section, and may even post 2 documentaries that someone shared with me that are very poignant. They really, really say a lot to the desire to fit in, to discontent with self. And actually, they're 2 interesting documentaries. One is Mao Zedong, a prolific communist. It's a really, really interesting documentary. And the other one is actually Hitler. So why are these 2 personalities? Why I think these are 2, I think they take my breath away in terms of just when you get the wheels turning about insecurities, about trauma, and how it has the capacity to affect not just the individual, but how can I say it? With the prevalence now that we hear so much of narcissism, and at a simple level, you think about how people turn out the way that they turn out. And I think as a mother, as a woman, what we can do to foster that intentionally in the children that we have, and also the children that are around us, right? I've trained all kinds of children, definitely in my community, and work with children in my community, and sometimes from other cultures. So, as a woman, as a mother, as a parent, as a human, how are we turning out such callous, cold human beings? Does anyone else ever think about this? I've thought for many years about when they first came out. I was like, I don't support violent video games. I just don't. And all these channels I'm seeing on Instagram, again, I'm not a prude, but if you just check and something is off, something feels really off. And part of what I have observed is the context. A lot of things are being introduced to not just children, even adults, but the context is off and a lot of information is being left out. So different things are being sold to you, right? If you think a lot of things that we're mimicking in the music, for many years, I was raised on hip hop, but a lot of it, it's disturbing. It is disturbing. And I feel like we are unknowingly and also knowingly allowing ourselves to be misled, and we copy and we follow. We copy and we follow. Yes, we do. Even adults, we copy and we follow. And so again, if should anyone, I'm going to share in the community section. I think I'll share these 2 documentaries, and feel free to share what you come away with. And if you see the connection, any connection, or if it resonates what I'm saying, how in our fear and our lack of not being so against others, but taking a stand for healthy boundaries and healthy boundaries with children, how certain types of destructive people be allowed to come to certain positions where they be extremely destructive. And we can see right now that children are mimicking a lot, and young people are mimicking a lot of self-destructive behavior. And this is adults too. It's not just children, because where do you think children are getting it from? And I think it's something for us to really consider, men and women being responsible and accountable for our reproductive organs, right? The behaviors that extend beyond us. We're being encouraged to go for pleasure without thinking of how our behavior is affecting other people, right? This was a conversation many years ago. In hip hop, there was a whole mini small debate on whether or not, people should be more, and the lyrics weren't anywhere near where they are now. But is there any responsibility on the part of hip hop artists to, the lyrics they're saying? And I remember distinctly some popular artists that I like saying, well, the parents, they need to watch their children, and, they can listen to whoever they want. And I'm like, that's so flippant. You don't feel a sense of responsibility? That seems to be like, it's like, it seems to be like the climate that we're in. No one sees a sense of responsibility or accountability. And this doesn't have anything to do necessarily with religion. Why do you need a religion to be responsible and accountable for picking up trash in your neighborhood or creating safe boundaries for children? I don't understand. Like, what is so hard about being intentional around the words that you're using, right? And being insensitive to others. This has become normalized. The lack of sensitivity, a lack of respect, saying whatever you want out of your mouth. This is becoming normalized, and we are participating in it. Let me jump out of here. Y'all create a great rest of the day on purpose. Looking forward to you folks that are interested in classes. Oh, before I forget, do pick up Whole Living Foods in the Hood with menus to fit your budget. That is not a diet book. That is a resource guide if you're interested in whole, fresh living and unprocessed foods as a lifestyle. In there, I answer a lot of questions that people ask me over the years and questions that I've had over the years. I've consolidated them in a lot of streamlined practices so you can make whole, fresh living and unprocessed foods a lifestyle. This is not, this is based on plants. So some people may choose to add other stuff, but this is based on plants. I am a professionally trained chef, and I've done all different kinds of things. This is where I'm at now. And I do understand people may choose to adapt it, though the foundation is whole, fresh living and unprocessed foods. This is plant-based. You can tweak it however you like to. Though if you have different health issues, you may want to consider if you grab your gut or if you've got diabetes or heart disease or cancer, whole fresh living foods go a long way to improve your immune system. There are several shopping lists for people that have different budgets or spending plans. And I've taken pictures with the receipts of the different types of shops that I've done. I think they go from $5 and $10, $25, all the way up to $200, which was buying produce by the case at the wholesaler. And I give you some ideas of some of the things that I've made so that I would use all of that food. That can really cut down on your amount of shopping, which is great if it's colder, and it makes you be more creative with the ingredients that you have purchased. And definitely your colon and your immune system really respond to unprocessed foods. Some people may not realize there are many things that you can prepare in different ways unprocessed, like sweet potato. Right? So that's there. There's natural beauty, no products, love your own hair and skin that is cruelty-free and vegan. I do put food on my hair and my skin. I threw the shower caddy out. I'm not bringing it back because it's ease and relaxation. There is a raw vegan goddess cakes workshop. You don't need a dehydrator. For that, there are some recipes I have for the dehydrator. Most of the stuff is without the dehydrator because most of our bodies are totally dried out from all its, sometimes the texture of the food we're eating is almost like dog food. And we're putting lots of oil and salt and sugar. So many people, I remember being a very junk food based vegan or highly processed foods vegan. That's not enough for many of us. Some of us are still carrying an unhealthy weight, an unhealthy adipose tissue. Let me make that distinction because we never want to lose muscle weight. But many of us are carrying a lot of water retention, inflammation, and dangerously unhealthy adipose tissue, right? So it's not just about the label, right? So the fruit and vegetable kingdom and queendom, there's no cholesterol in there, right? So everyone can benefit from more whole, fresh living and unprocessed foods. So the movement classes are every morning. Right now, there are no men folk in the class. So during the so-and-so demic, we had some co-ed maybe in the future, but right now it's some women. We want to keep it nice and safe. Oh, and there's a workshop for men, healthy eating for men, plant-based. Is there anything else? Oh, there's also emergency food preparedness and preservation, plant-based. So during this whole debacle that went down, I never needed to really change anything because this has been my lifestyle for years. So I go over the different things that you want to have inside of your home on a regular basis. This is a lifestyle. It will really, again, your food bags will get heavier in the bulk section and also the produce section, and your food bill should go down. So again, this is, I would tell my family members, y'all gonna appreciate this lifestyle one day. And it's not dieting. This is a lifestyle, right? And so this is a lot of distraction you can take off the table so you can focus more on some contentment in your garden, other ways to nourish yourself, your movement practice, whatever you're paying rent and mortgage, and finding ways to, some beautiful ways to eat from the plant kingdom and queendom. There's a whole lot of nutrition and protein and stuff in there. So that being said, I'm going to get off. Feel free to like, comment respectfully, and subscribe. I'm also on Body-Culinary on Instagram and Facebook, and on TikTok, Kwasa with a K, Kwasa Peaceful, full, like full belly eating, Kwasa full belly eating on TikTok. Y'all create a great day, and I'll see you soon.